everyone. Today I'd like to continue my review about the novel. Last week, after that, Mr. Elton has feeling to Emma, but Emma refused him because her friend Harriet has feeling too to Mr. Elton. Well, December 24, Mr. Elton and Mr. Knightley, they have dinner with the Westons, and then they talk about Frank. Frank is Mr. Weston's son. He is handsome and he lives in Yorkshire with the Churchills or his mother's family. Here, Frank Frank is Frank sent a letter to them that he will be visiting them. And then it remains Emma that he that if she was ever to marry, Frank has the same age with Emma, and then the condition and the characteristic of Frank also has same character and same condition with Emma. And then, but Frank, what is it? Differs to visit the Wood House because his mother was sick, and Mr. Knightley also tells Emma that Mr. Elton has engaged with Augusta Hawkins. They don't talk more about that, but Harriet doesn't know about it, and Emma doesn't want to tell Harriet about that, and she tried to cheers Harriet up with with talking about Mr. Martin. And then Frank Churchill finally arrives. Mr. and Mrs. Welton would like to make a match between him and Emma, but they don't know that Frank has engaged with Jane. Well, in the Cole's party, they talk, and then Frank sits beside Emma, and Frank asks Emma to dance. And from that situation, Emma thinks that she has feeling to Frank. Well, after Frank leaving the Woodhouse family, Frank sent a letter to them that he said that he has engaged with Jane, and after he stay with her. So Churchill's family give them attention and want to marry Frank and Jane. After hearing that that news, Emma try to remind herself again, and then she thinks that she must be married with Mr. Knightley, and she thinks that Mr. Knightley do not marry with anyone else except her, like that. Although she knows that Harriet, her friends, has same feeling with her to Mr. Knightley. And then after Mr. Knightley coming from his his visit from some place, Mr. Knightley knowing that Mr. Elton has engaged with what is it with I'm sorry, not Mr. Elton, but Mr. I'm sorry, Frank has engaged with Jane. And after that, Mr. Nutley declares his feeling to Emma, but they can marry as soon as possible because Mary has to. I'm sorry, because Emma has to take care of his father. And I'm sorry, the conflict of this novel in part 2 and 3 is when Emma has feeling to Frank, but actually Frank has engaged with Jane, and Harriet also has feeling to who is it, Frank and Mr. Knightley. uh, it was what is it complicated it was complicated. And what is it when Mr. Knightley declares his feeling to Emma, it was complicating. And what is it the solution of this novel. First, Mr. Knightley declares his feeling to Emma, and Emma uh, accepts his marriage proposal. And the second is her friend uh, accept Mr. Martin's marriage proposal. And the last is Frank will marry with Jane. I think it's enough for my review. I'm sorry for all my mistakes. And then I have so many what is it? So many mistakes in this review. Hopefully this review is useful for you all. Thank you for watching and for reading. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.